Okay, well, I got a new diagnostic problem here. You'll see in the very lower hand right that the airbag system is malfunctioning, and I can tell you that that airbag malfunction actually happened when I was turning my steering wheel, and I could hear my clock spring actually binding on up, and it got to the point where it just broke, and I no longer had this binding noise in my steering column. So I'm rather certain that the problem really is the clock spring. So I've got a replacement clock spring, and I'm going to go ahead and take that on out, swap it on out, and replace it. And surprisingly, you can get these at your auto parts store. And they're fairly reasonable. I think it was like $60 some. So it's going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to go ahead and swap out the clock spring on the truck. And step number one is to disconnect the battery. And after doing a little bit of reading, there's actually a battery within your airbag electronics that once you disconnect the battery, you have to actually wait another couple of minutes before you do anything. So, of course, it's always best to be safe. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the negative terminal on my batteries and then begin with taking this thing apart, which it doesn't look like it's actually going to be too bad. So that's at least the start for this particular project. Okay, the next thing we're going to do here is to remove the ignition switch tumbler. And there's actually a series of holes underneath the steering column. It's kind of neat. You can just feel around, and if I can feel around here, you'll find, there we go, the spring-like sensation. You push it on in, and I'm doing this right, this tumbler will come out. What I'm going to do at the end here is I'm going to use some graphite lubricant and lubricate this on up, but it actually comes out pretty straightforward. So we're going to put this aside and for another time when we put it back together. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this steering wheel tilt column, and to do this we're going to actually cover this on up, protect it a little bit. I'm going to be able to grab onto it with a pair of pliers, loosen it on up. Just be gentle with it, it'll be fine. There's actually a flat on there if you wanted to use a wrench, but for this is fine. Next thing is we're going to go ahead and remove these Phillips screws from underneath the column. There's a total of 3 of them. Allow us to have access to pretty much everything underneath the steering column and on top here. It's a little snug here. Okay. Okay. And take a look here. There's little caps on the back side here for the steering wheel to get access to remove that horn assembly and the airbag assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these caps on off and remove that airbag assembly there. Okay, got those caps removed, and now we need to remove those bolts that are in there. This is the number 8 socket. So we're going to go ahead and remove both sides here. Okay. Alright. Now that we have the bolts removed, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the wires here. Not so sure you can see it, but wire right here. See if I can use a little screwdriver for this. Just be gentle. That's one. And the other one here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little push clip. And that comes on off. When you carry these, you're supposed to keep the airbag away from you, so we're going to put this here in the back seat and leave it alone for a while. Alright, next step is we're going to try to remove the bolt here from the steering column. So, it comes out rather easy actually. Yeah, let me show you what the setup looks like here. Actually, I was going to use the bolt, but really the bolt turned when I turned this guy, so just put into the socket the appropriate size, and of course pushing on the shaft there that we're going to try to press off from. So I think this should be pretty straightforward. So let's give this a little try and see how well it goes here. Definitely something that it just comes off, pops. So without a puller, you're going to have a tough time getting that off. So before we take this on off though, I'm going to go ahead and mark so I know exactly where I'm going to align this column back on. So let me go ahead and get something to mark there, and that'll take care of this part. Okay, you can see the little mark that I've made there on both the column shaft and the steering wheel, so we're going to put that on exactly as it is when we put it back together. Okay, I have a gorgeous day here today. I'll tell you, the lighting with the camera, you can see I have to cover things to keep things a little bit dark. I even have a tarp over the windshield. So it's barely discernible in the camera, but there's actually a wire here that comes from the Clockspring that goes right up here to the ignition. So you're going to have to be careful, look at that before you take it apart and put it back together. And there's some wires too that go all the way underneath the steering column for, of course, the airbag system. So here, of course, is the replacement part, and you'll see that this has just got that slides over the steering column shaft. These plug back on into the harness that's underneath the column. So I won't show any footage of that, but it's pretty straightforward. And this is the piece there. You can even see black on black here. Maybe if I put my hand behind it. That's the piece that that you're going to have to fit over there by the ignition switch. So again, apologize. Let's see if I can even get it. Yeah, maybe that's a bit better. But that's the part that for the ignition switch that you're going to have to finagle on over there. So I think at least for this part, I think it's pretty straightforward on having to slide this thing on off and route the wires, and then put this thing back together. So I'll take a few more clips, but I think it's, like I say, pretty straightforward from here on. It's just a quick little clip on what it looks like with it all apart. Of course, you just have to take the wires on out. No big deal. As far as what holds it on the back of this steering column, there's actually three clips here. You know, what you want to do is you just pull these back, these little clips, hard to see, but you just pull them on back, and then this whole thing just slides on out. So right now it's just going to go back together in the same way I took it apart. So that's it for right now. I just want to make one other minor comment here. This plastic spacer here, which is part of the airbag system, also has to come on off. So I think that pretty much covers it. I'd just remove this part for the turn signal. There's just some torque screws that have to hold that on. So I think that covers everything for right now. Just a little FYI here. There's on this particular, of course, sorry about the lighting here, but maybe that's a little bit better. There's a little plastic piece that has to come off here. If you don't take that plastic piece off, it will be rather difficult to get this together. And of course, you just slide that right on there, just like so. Okay, we put the steering wheel back together here. Just going to put the screw on that holds the steering wheel. We're going to put some blue thread locker on here. There was thread lock there on there before, if you see the pink there. We're just going to put some stuff back on there again. This is one thing you don't want to mess up. Your steering wheel will come off when you're driving down the road. We're going to run it on up, and we're going to torque it. And check your owner's manual. This 2003 Superduty, at least the Hayes repair manual, indicates that it should be torqued to 29 foot-pounds. Okay, and just torque it to 29. And that's it. So the rest of it is going to be pretty straightforward. You're going to put the airbag back on, and put the screws here that hold it on in place, and at the end here we'll start it on up and see what happens. Hopefully that airbag light will go on out. Okay, well, this is a moment of truth here. We've got all the steering wheel all back together. You know, it's time for the final test. So if we go ahead and turn on the key, you can definitely see the airbag light coming on for just the key on, and now the airbag light goes off. So looks like mission success. Thanks for watching.